Hi everyone, this is going to be the first video for week one. You should be able to see the screen here. As you've already seen, I upload the notes before, so you can take a look at it. And then there are some sections which I leave empty, which I'm going to fill in during the video. Now the first topic we're going to be discussing here is called angles. Now the question is, why do we need to measure angles? The reason is it gives us a relative position between two lines with respect to rotation. For example, if I have 2 points A and B, then I can sort of talk about the distance between them. Right? So we use distance or length as a measurement to say how far one point is from the other point. And in the same way, instead of points, if we are to compare lines, then we can define something called angle, which you can think of as a measure of rotation. Which is to say, if I take this line AB, how much do I have to rotate it by so that it becomes the line AC? That measure of the rotation is called an angle. So that's important because a lot of times we talk about rotation, which is a very significant physical operation. Yeah, so relevance would be, say, time zones or measurements of time. For example, before we had clocks, there was something called a sundial, right? So you have the sun at a particular point, and the shadow falls over here, and after some point, the shadow is here. Then you can say that this is how much time has elapsed. Right? So of course, we still use this in some sense when you look at a clock. Yeah, so if you set, say, for example, the shadows here on sunrise, and at any point of time, you can use this to create a reference for time. So for example, you can say, well, if it's here, it's half a day. Yeah. Obviously, now we know that that's not entirely accurate because sunrise and sunset time depends on the weather, which again depends on what latitude you are on, etc. But as a very simplified idea, that can be thought of as one of the relevance. Now that we have this idea of this angle, this is going to be a general structure throughout this course where we talk about an idea and then we talk about how to model that idea mathematically. And the reason we do that is so that we have something concrete to work with and we can find interesting patterns and results that may be there. Now, before we talk about anything, we need to learn how to name it. There are three ways in which you can name an angle using a number that's shown here. So you read this as angle 1. Using a letter, you can read this as angle A. And the last one is using three letters, where this would be read as angle ABC. Now here, note that the B is in the middle, which is sort of the corner. And this symbol is read as angle. To avoid ambiguity, in some cases, we're going to use three letters. For example, over here, if we just say angle A, it's not sufficient because there are two angles being formed. But if we use three letters, BAC means this angle and BAD means the other angle. So wherever there is a possibility of ambiguity, make sure you use three letters to be precise about what it is that you are talking about. Now that we have named it, the next thing obviously to do is how do we measure it? Like we need a unit. These are called, one of the units that we measure this is called degree. Now it's a historical thing that we denote one full rotation by 360 degrees. The short side note, and this is like a remnant from the Babylonian era where they worked in what's called the base 60. Yeah. We now work with Arabic numerals, which are base 10, meaning you have 0 through 9, and every other number can be written as a combination of those. But in the Babylonian time, the base was 60, and that's because a lot of numbers divide 60. And that's why we have that a full rotation is 360, which means that we arbitrarily denote this as 0 degree, which would also be called horizontal. Now, if the whole thing is 360, then half of it would be 180 degrees. And then a quarter of that would be 90 degrees. We use this symbol, that's a square or a box, to say it's 90 degrees. And another way to talk about it would be to say that the line is vertical. What about this angle? Try and figure out what this should be. Simply based on the fact that one rotation is 360 degrees. Now, types of angle, again, if you're looking at the notes, try and read about them from the book and fill this in for yourself. Even if you have not taken a look at the notes and you are on the video, you may want to pause and look at these terms. Acute angle is it's an angle that is less than 90 degrees. So for example, any angle I draw here, that is acute. A right angle is 90 degrees. Again, it's denoted by this square box. An obtuse angle is something like this, say 135. It's an angle between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. A straight angle, that's another way of saying it, something is 180 degrees. Adjacent angle are angles that are next to each other. So for example, let's say angle A, CP. Now here I have an ambiguity. So I'm going to say angle BAD and angle BAC are adjacent. Why? Because they are right next to each other. And an additional thing you will note here is what happens when I add these angles, BAD and BAC. They become a straight angle. And what is a straight angle? A straight angle is 180 degrees. And that's pretty clear from the figure that you have here. A few other terms, transversal. This is if you have two parallel lines and a third line, this is a line intersecting two parallel lines is called a transversal. Now when you do this, you create certain angles that we call. These angles right here, these are called alternative interior angles. So let's go ahead and name them. Say this is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So angle ABF and angle BFG are alternating interior. Similarly, angle CBF and angle BFE are alternate interior angles. Now I'm going to leave you to fill out this corresponding angle part, and you will see a question on this in your Google Classroom as just a descriptive problem that will show up. All right, I'm going to end this video here and then talk about more topics in the next video.